We're going to call to order the special meeting of the West Sacramento City Council and Redevelopment Agency and Financing Authority. We're going to proceed to the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led tonight by Supervisor Mike McGowan.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The council did meet in closed session to confer with our real property negotiator about the parcel that's noted in our agenda, and the subject of item number 2. We'll now proceed to item 1, which is presentation of the public on matters not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the City Council. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda? All right. There is, Chris. There's a button to your right that if you press it down will bring the microphone closer.
Hello? Is that a little better?
It's on, but the city clerk's on her way to help. Great. Okay.
Hi. Like I said, my name is Marisa Haynes. This is the second time that I've come here. First time was in May regarding an issue with the neighbors. It's been like a nuisance issue. And lately, it's escalated to the point where I'm getting verbally threatened, verbally abused, and it's to the point where I can't step outside my gate without hearing any stuff like that. It's to the point where I'm getting ready to file civil litigation, and I'm the homeowner. They're renters. I've contacted the owners of the duplex. Nothing's being done, and I don't know what to do. I'm at my wit's end. I've tried working with the police department, with CRT. I don't know what to do.
All right. So under state law, we can't, the city council can't have a discussion or take action on this, but we do appreciate you bringing it forward. Maybe what we can ask you to do is Charlene Hamilton, who's right behind you and helping with the microphone, will get further information. We'll make sure that there's a follow-up, and we'll get a report about what's going on as well.
I just wanted to list it for the record that it's still going on. It's escalated.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 2 is a continued public hearing regarding the sale of Stone Lock District property to the Stone Lock District Holdings, LLC, or to the Port of West Sacramento. Mr. Bermudez?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Council members. Before you tonight is a continued public hearing regarding an option agreement for the Stone Lock District property to Stone Lock District Holdings or to the Port of West Sacramento. As Council may be aware, and for the public, there was a meeting last week to discuss and consider an option agreement with Stone Lock Holdings LLC for the property that's we call Stone Lock District property, which is adjacent to the barge canal. During discussions last week, the concern came up regarding the overall planning of the project, and Council directed staff to go back and meet with the developer and see if they would entertain a development agreement or some form of an agreement that would ensure a specific type of development for the future of that project. Staff since has met with Portellus, with the Cordish Company, and had various exchanges and conversations to discuss the development agreement concept. And in principle, Cordish has accepted to move forward with the development agreement. However, staff is hitting some issues related to other parts of the document and additions to the option agreement that we have received as of today. So with that, staff is still continuing trying to work out some of these outstanding issues. These issues are pretty complicated and refer back to the ENA, the exclusive negotiated agreement that was approved by council that has since expired. There's some form of the language that has been inserted into this new option agreement that lists certain deliverable dates and also some cost responsibilities on the agency that staff is concerned moving forward with the option agreement at this time. So therefore, staff is recommending that we consider an option agreement with the Sacramento Yellow Port District. This idea came up during the council meeting last week as an idea to secure the property so that in case the governor's budget legislation moved forward, that there would be some holding that we would have on the property to potentially develop it in the future in a manner that we suited at the time. So what staff is recommending tonight is to move forward with a recommendation to enter into an option agreement with the Sacramento Yellow Port District at this time, with the hopes that we will continue negotiating with the Cordish Company under not the agency, but possibly the Port District of West Sacramento. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Let me just open the conversation because a lot of work has been done on this. I think as we said at our meeting last week, we're in this position because of the proposal to eliminate redevelopment and to have all of the assets of the redevelopment agency liquidated as soon as possible under the governor's budget proposal. We have 31 pieces of property that the redevelopment agency owns of various types, and we've been doing our best to make sure that the public assets are protected. And this is a good example. It's the largest of those properties at 215 acres. If we don't do anything, then the property will be sold later this year, and the existing park, the Barge Canal Access, which is our one fully improved, legalized place for fishing in the community, would be closed and turned over to a private bidder, along with this property being also having the most waterfront frontage of any property in the city. It's a big deal, so we want to make sure that it's not just disposed of at auction by some external agency that's not controlled by the people of West Sacramento. So that's why we're here. We've been rushing quickly because no one knows whether the legislature and the governor's will approve the governor's proposal and how quickly they might do so. And so we've been moving at an extraordinarily rapid pace. And that was the cause of last week's special meeting. It's the cause of tonight's special meeting. We approved an action last week in as quickly as we could, but without an agreement from the other party because we didn't have time to negotiate that in that time frame, and we were worried that there was the possibility that over the weekend that the legislature might take action. The legislature has not yet taken action, but we're back here tonight to find a better solution. A lot of work has occurred since that meeting last week. On Wednesday, on the part of our staff and members of the council and Mr. Tellis and the Cordish Company team as well, with a lot of folks trying to solve some very difficult challenges. I mean, this is the sort of thing that you take years to work through on a development. A property of this complexity and this importance would normally take that much time. We've been trying to wrap it all up in just less than 7 days, and so a lot of progress has been made. And I'm very encouraged that by the Cordish Company's continued commitment to making this work and to trying to find a solution in this cycle. And a lot of the issues that were raised last week by the council around the development agreement to make sure that we were certain what exactly was going to get built on that 215 acres. That our development partner has been, very open to making that work. It's become clear though that we can't get there quickly enough. That there are still some not trivial outstanding issues, and not trivial like in the $1 million range of cost issues and other elements that still need to be worked through, and we're not going to get there today. And it's not the optimal environment for us to make good decisions or for the developer to make good decisions. And we want to make sure that in the end, we have a project that makes sense for the community, and we want to make sure that there's a project that is economically feasible, because having a perfect project that the developer can't build isn't going to work either. So we don't appear to be there at that, be able to achieve that. And so I do think the recommendation that staff is making to instead follow the alternate path, which is to offer an option agreement to the port district. It makes the most sense. It's not fully protective against any possible action that the state might take, but it's pretty close, and it would give the port, if it chooses to do so, the time to perfect an agreement with the Cordish company, or an alternative. But I think our hope, based on the work that's been done, is that the port would choose to continue that effort with the Cordish company to try to reach a development agreement and plan that would make sense for the project and for the project developer. So I'm supportive of the alternative option that the staff is proposing this evening, which is that we rescind our action from last week and that we instead approve an option agreement with the port of West Sacramento, with the Sacramento Yellow Port District, that are subject to similar conditions and findings.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me. I'm sorry to interrupt. Port Tellis from Cordish would like to speak. I didn't know if he didn't fill out a form, but he would, if you have the ability to allow that, he would like that.
All right, I'm gonna. Okay, I mean this. I've tried to explain. We do require the cards even for project proponents. And I don't like. I mean, I just feel like it's not appropriate. I have to continually remind folks who are not developers of that rule, and I don't want to. Even though I know this has been a difficult process and difficult weekend, we need the rules have to apply to everybody in our process. And this is not a development. There's not an entitlement or a permit here. It's simply a property negotiation, which we don't typically do in open session. All right. Any other comments, discussion from members of the council? Mr. Johannesson.
Yeah, just maybe a couple. Just to reinforce what the mayor said on this, it's now is the problem is we're in kind of a transition point with the legislature and also the market, that we really, if you're a homeowner right now is not the time to sell unless you absolutely have to, and typically that only happens if you're lose your job or goes into foreclosure. Most of the people that can are holding on to the property, and I'm kind of viewing this particular property as really our future, particularly with where I see the state going in terms of its continued effort to urbanize in existing urban areas, and some of the policies that the state have, that this potentially, even though the market value is low now, when things settle down, this still remains to be one of our probably the most important asset that we have in terms of our regional projects in the area. And I would agree that the situation is that both parties are under gun now. If this would have come together quickly, it may have been different, but it looks like the parties are both pretty far off in what they're trying to do here. And I think by allowing the port to take this, at least for the time being, to give us both parties, and hopefully Cordish as well, to continue negotiations and look at this property in its long term and not just the short term. I just view this as kind of a little bump in the road of developing that property, not the end all. So I think the option that the staff recommends is probably the most prudent now as well.
Further comments? Mr. Ledesma?
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And I just have to echo some of what's been said already. These aren't ideal circumstances to be trying to negotiate in any type of deal, as Mr. Johannes said, from a home ownership to something as big as this. And it is unfortunate because a lot of work has gone into this by staff and by our development partners in Cordish, trying to get this deal done. I personally just didn't feel comfortable at this point that we were at a point where a negotiation could be completed in a way that made a good deal for everybody. And so I'm supportive of the recommendation. I want to make sure that we do our best to invite Cordish to continue on. Hopefully the port will view this favorably as they meet. But it is an important part of our strategy here. Is the overriding concern for me is to make sure there's some stability in circumstance, in an environment where we can conduct business. The port seems the best option. The city and the agency are right now, the agency more likely is there's too many variables that's pressuring us to make possibly bad decisions or rush decisions, which could lead to bad decisions. And that's just not an appropriate way to try to do business. And I'm supportive of going forward and hopefully continuing to work with Cordish I think that ultimately is what our goal was, and so we'll proceed with that tact. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Christoph.
Yeah, very quickly, I'd echo the comments and the thoughts that my fellow council members and the mayor have indicated. And, I guess I felt pretty uncomfortable, or a little uncomfortable too, with proposed modifications of the agreement and the stance that Cordish was taking. Been with the city for a number of years, and I have never seen a development agreement that we were really sort of part of that we had to pay for. So I have some concerns about some of the deal points, and this should give us some time to sort those deal points out. And so I think a little bit of time is good, and so look forward to working with Cordish and working with the Port District and seeing if we can really come up with a proposal and come up with a development agreement that gives this property the just due that it deserves. This is a very, very unique piece of property. There is a lot of riverfront and waterfront on this particular piece of property. The development of this particular piece of property can really set the stage for future development and the future of the city of West Sacramento. It's an extremely important piece, and I just want to make sure that we give it every opportunity to become what I think the community would like to have it become. Thank you.
Mr. Villegas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think it's actually all been said. I don't feel like I need to take any more time. I think the council has pretty clearly articulated the position that we need to preserve, which is a little more time and a little more thoughtful discussion in order to get us to where we all need to be. So I think it's pretty much all been said.
All right. Is there a motion? The motion would be first to rescind Resolution 11-18. And do we need to take these as separate actions, or can it all be a single motion?
It can be a single motion.
Okay, so to rescind the Resolution 11-18, and then to affirm the sale of the property to the Port District.
Correct. Adopt Resolution 1119
I think we'd like you to do the substantially as to form. We want to go over them one more time.
on the resolution.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I would ask, I know this is a bit awkward. We've been moving pretty quickly, and I know you've certainly done a lot to sort of illustrate or demonstrate or explain the process here. And I know it's a little bit out of turn, but given the situation and given the importance of it, I wouldn't mind at least hearing from the applicant. I know it's out of order, and that's certainly your prerogative, but I feel like in the interest of what I think we want, which is to continue dialogue, I certainly would like to hear. I'm not interested in a long presentation, but I feel the need to at least hear from the applicant, given the circumstances and the amount of work that's gone into the proposal before we vote.
I would like to hear from him. When regular old citizens are here and they don't fill out a card and they can't speak after the council discussion has happened, and I have to tell them they can't speak, I mean, I don't. If this were a permit or some other thing where there was actually an applicant, I would do so. And if it's the council's desire, this certainly is not something I'm going to fall on a sword over. But I believe that it is important, even in moments like this, to be clear to everyone in the community that you don't, even if you're in a $2 million deal, you don't get more privileges in a democracy to speak at our meetings than regular citizens who are here because the next door neighbor is harassing them. So, and I'm definitely willing to, and I expected that there would be a card and there wasn't one. Right. And after last time and the time before, and I said, if you want to speak, you need to fill out a card.
Yeah, I heard that too.
You got to do it.
Yeah, no, I respect that, and I respect that. I just think everybody, including staff and all, have been working really hard. So I respect that, and I would certainly be comfortable with that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Villegas. All right, so wait, did somebody make, sorry, did someone make the motion? Is there a motion to, Mayor Pro Tem Christoph?
All right, I'll give it a try. Okay, Mr. Mayor, I would move that we rescind Resolution 11-18 and adopt Resolution 11-19, which approves the sale of the sale of the Stone Lock District property to the Sacramento Yolo Port District.
The approval of Resolution 1119 is substantially as to form. So there is one minor change we need to make to it.
Okay.
Is there
I'll
a
make that part of my motion.
Moved and seconded. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Without objection, Ms. Richardson, I was going to dispense with the general administration calendar unless there's any pressing items, because we have the incoming chairman of all the county supervisors in all of California with us, and I know he has a busy schedule. We'd like to get him back on his business. So, all right, if there's no further objection, is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Mr. Johansson and seconded by Mr. Villegas. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. And I know the council wants to vote for Port and for Cordish and for our own staff team. The last week at least has been extraordinarily challenging and difficult. A lot of work, creative thinking, a lot of passion, a lot of frustration, and it didn't result in a final agreement. But it's very, very much appreciated, and so I know we want to express the council's gratitude to everyone that's worked on this under the gun. And I should say for our own redevelopment staff, at the same time that we're dealing with the potential at any moment redevelopment agency being abolished, it's heroic. So we appreciate it very, very much.